Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Is it that the Republicans fear Trump so much, but they agree with you privately? How they just talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. I don't think my colleagues are happy about covering up for pedophiles, but that's what's happening. And it's so sick and twisted. The reason they're doing it is because they're terrified of President Trump's political machine. Not just his legislative affairs folks are reaching out from the White House to every Republican member of Congress who might think about co-sponsoring this. They're getting calls from the political machine that Donald Trump runs. We've got members of Congress who have aspirations of running for statewide office, and they can't win a statewide office in a Republican primary with Donald Trump on the other side. So they're terrified of him. With three big exceptions, 3 women have co-sponsored this resolution: Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace.
Why aren't they terrified of President Trump?
I think, number one, because they're women, they feel obligated to take up for the women who've been abused.
هذا كله مجمع يا الله سترك هذا هو احلى وقود اكي وقود فجروه
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Sana hindi pumami yung kotse. Oh my god.
Anti-Semitic, but you don't hear about anti-Christian. No, you have a strong anti-Christian. We will protect the Judeo-Christian principles of our founding, and we will protect them with vigor.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Well, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans, we're in it now. We're talking World War. Israel has just attacked Qatar. The Israeli Air Force eliminated the entire Hamas leadership on the ground in Qatar, which is another country. They didn't do it with Mossad. They didn't do it with intelligence assets. They did it with the Israeli Air Force, and that's confirmed by the Israeli government and the nation of Qatar. So there's obviously a lot going on that we don't know about, and things may not be as they seem. But number one, you had Israel attack an Arab country, a very wealthy one, with U.S. forces in country. And that's significant. Trump knew about it. Obviously, did the Qataris know about it? Did they greenlight it? We don't know. But this is really, really, really serious. I want to say hello to the crew. You're cleared hot in the chat. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate all the engagement. It's always great to see, and we'll try to put up some of your comments. Check out whatfinger.com. Great aggregator site. They put out a lot of content. Some of it's ours, but not anywhere near all of it. So check them out. We have a partnership with them, and they post our stuff, so we send people their way. You also saw in the cold open, Ukraine's training their troops by making them crawl on the ground and shoot in the air, and then another airstrike in Kiev or in Ukraine by the Russians, which killed a lot of people. This war needs to end. We've said that over and over and over and over. Big show for you today. Thierry Laurent will be here to talk about the collapse of the French government, which, again, a second prime minister in a year, I believe. And then we're going to do some pattern recognition in the second hour with Bill Quinn. We're just trying to get out a lot of information. We've been pushing hard. If you've noticed, the content is really ramping up across CDM. Georgia Record, by the way, is one of them where we're really pushing to make that a competitor against the AJC in Atlanta. So there'll be more coming. Thank you for noticing all the good comments we've had come in. So appreciate that. And today is September 9th. I'm your host, Todd Wood. This is your mission brief. Thierry Laurent will join us, as I said, shortly to talk about the fall of the French government. And ICE is ramping up enforcement. And you saw it in Georgia at the Hyundai plant. And we've been in the lead talking about what's going on in South Korea. If you remember, South Korea was taken over in the election by the Chinese Communist Party. The CCP candidate won. So they're essentially a puppet state. We have a lot of troops in South Korea, I think 40 to 50,000, maybe more, Camp Casey and beyond. So real significant what's going on there. Again, we're out in front. Nobody's talking about this except us. The big news organizations may have a story out, but nobody's focusing on what's going on in South Korea. We're going to tie it all together for you. Ukraine runs out of air defense munitions. I sense another trip by Zelensky to Washington, D.C. What do you think? Is he going to come hat in hand begging for more munitions? And if you remember, in the 12-day war, we shot off 25% of our air defense rounds. And so we don't have much left. It will be interesting to see if Trump is America first or Ukraine first. The French government falls. Thierry will talk to us about that. Here's a big one. Brad Raffensperger may run for Georgia governor. Now, this is the guy who enabled and covered up the corrupt elections in 2020 and beyond. We don't believe he got anywhere near the votes that he said he did in the last election for his reelection as Secretary of State. But we're going to come out against this one in force, so stay tuned for that. And Trump posts video of autism and vaccines, which said they're all poison. Very, very, very significant. We have been trying to parse the Trump tea leaves as to what he's really thinking on vaccines. We may be getting close to the truth on that. So stay with us. We'll be right back on the SCIF. We got a lot to go through today.
Celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7. I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down and doctors' offices were shut down. And even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah, all the men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies, they will all turn out and they'll all...
Welcome back to the SCIF. You know, our job here is to, the SCIF stands for Specialized Compartmental Intelligence Facility, I think, something like that. And it's where you go to get the information that you really need to know. And that's what we're doing here. And we're really focused on bringing you laser focused on the stories you really need to know. We got literally hundreds of stories overnight, and we try to curate it and bring it down into something that you can deal with and be the smartest guy in the room, the water cooler, the lunch table, the dinner table, around the fire with the kids, and be more knowledgeable than most. So that's what we're doing here. I want to highlight real quick. Okay, let's say Christmas is coming, right? And you may have a relative or a friend or somebody that needs a gift that may have trouble sleeping, or just loves to sleep, or the person that has everything, and you're like, what am I going to get this person? I got the gift for you right here. Go to mypillow.com and check out the mattress toppers. I tell you what, I travel all around the world, and I'm not joking. The thing I look forward to is coming back and sleeping in my bed, because I've got one of these bad boys on there. And I tell people it's like sleeping on a firm cloud. It is amazing. These things are off the charts good. And for that person who has everything and you're thinking, who do I get? What do I get this person, this guy, this woman? If you get them this, they will be happy. I guarantee you. And so I want to put that out as an idea. Go to mypillow.com, check out the mattress covers, and use promo code CDM. You get the huge discount, promo code CDM at mypillow.com. And another thing I want to talk about is, where is this? I had it somewhere. Oh, here it is. I want to talk about ALP. If you go to cdmalp.com, let me bring that up. It's cdmalp.com. Let me find that. There we go. cdmalp.com. They have the new flavor out. It is the spearmint, and they've been waiting to push this out. One of the big things we get from ALP is they love the flavors, and they're moist, and they're not like putting a dry piece of wax paper in your mouth. They're really tasty. They're moist, and just people rave about that. And that's why it's so different than the Zen. So go to cdmalp.com and check out the new flavor spearmint. So thank you for that. And I think Thierry Laurent is in the green room, so I'm bringing him in. How you doing, Thierry?
I'm doing extremely puzzled.
So, I've had you on a lot lately, but, stuff keeps happening in France, man. What's going on with Macron? Is he going to survive?
Oh, God. So, you know what, that the prime minister of the new prime minister of Macron, the number 5 prime minister of Macron, has been kicked out manu military by the parliament yesterday. You know his name? His name is Bayrou. So there is a lot of people playing with his name right now, saying, Mr. Beirut, Mr. Bayrou. It's just a disaster.
People having fun, huh?
Let me depict you, in fact, what has been happening during this completely crazy afternoon yesterday. Mm-hmm. So the parliament was full. Everybody was there because everybody wanted to take a revenge of Macron. Mm-hmm. After raping off, in fact, most of the party, most of the people in France, the image of our country by his LGBTQXYZ policy approach due to his acquaintance with the WEF. We remember all the image that he has been projecting through the Olympics. It was just a disaster. I had a lot of people all over the world and especially in the Muslim world. I'm talking about the advisor of the Prime Minister of Malaysia. This has been calling me after this terrible show and say, do you realize what you have been doing here, you guys? It was just like a slap in the face that we have been receiving in front of the entire world. It was terrible. So basically, what has been happening yesterday is a sort of boomerang backfire to what sort of a policy Macron has been putting together for the last 7 years. He has been destroying our economy. He has been selling all our assets illegally, taking black commissions. He has been destroying the social cohesion of the country. He has been destroying completely the diplomatic approach and the credibility of our country, because if you look at the past, France used to be a sort of power of balance, trying to measure the right, the left, the pro and the cons, and trying to find compromise. Here, he has been destroying completely this approach by putting people that are completely incompetent at the heads of our diplomacy. Example, Stéphane Séjourné was not even able to pronunciate a sentence without making dyslexic mistakes, not confusing the verb and the complements and the adjectives. It was just a disaster. This guy was not even able, in fact, to speak. And what we knew by the end of his story is that he was the lover of the prime minister that has been following up.
Oh, wow.
You see, and he was sent to Africa to promote LGBT in ancestral culture kind of countries. This is just ridiculous.
Wow.
So guys, they have absolutely no understanding of how the world is running, what are others' culture, what are other thinking, and so on. They were just trying to impose their LGBT blah, blah, blah agenda, which is not
let
much.
let me just jump in there, because we've spent a lot of time in Beirut lately, which is a French, used to be a French colony, and they're pushing that there. We've got word from our Christian fellows in Beirut, Lebanon. They're pushing the LGBT stuff through the government. I mean, that has to be coming from Macron.
Yeah, it cannot work. Those kind of societies are, patriarchal societies, and they are rejecting completely this model.
Yeah.
This is, this is like a heretic for them,
Yeah, totally.
So basically, if you look at the image of France after Macron, France, our country is becoming a sort of joke all over the places. People are making fun of us, and especially with the story of becoming Brigitte.
Yeah, I was going to say that's like the icing on the top right there.
If you look at all the picture of this woman, you see sometimes she has one breast that is above the other. Sometimes she has big breast, she has no breast. You don't even understand what is going on under the story, or under the dress. I don't know. So basically, in fact, what has been happening yesterday is the visible part of the iceberg that has been running during 7 years. This guy, Beirut, if you look at his career on a political point of view, he was considered as a centrist, but in fact, he was a traitor for the socialists, and he was a traitor for the rightists. He has been putting the zizanie wherever he was putting his feet. Look at the beginning of the Macron mandates during number 1. He has been propelled as the Minister of Justice and had to resign due to the fact that he was caught into a story of corruption 3 weeks after his nomination. This is just unbelievable to see this guy that has been propelled again as the head of the country in the government. This is unbelievable. So this guy he was a troublemaker everywhere he was going within his entire political career. And on top of it, what we have been hearing about 4 or 5 months ago, he has been covering up a gigantic scandal of pedophilia within, in fact, a college with which his own daughter was studying.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been lasting for 30 years. He was knowing about it. Thousands of kids have been raped by priests.
Mm.
And this guy was saying, oh, I didn't know anything about this story. Everybody was knowing. But now, with all the medias that are freeing, in fact, the speeches of those people who has been victim, and everything was spread on the public place, he has been escaping. You know how? He was saying that his daughter has been abused and she never dared, in fact, to tell him. That was just a counterfire that he has been putting together to escape this gigantic juridical trap. So basically what has been happening yesterday is the right thing. We had, in fact, to get rid of this guy. On top of it, which is even better than that, he was saying, oh, you know, if France is in the stage on the financial point of view that we are, this is because of the French people. Of course, we were all running, in fact, the country, and we were all taking the decision, in fact, to drown the country into that trap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, this is unbelievable. And instead of shrinking the budget of the states for its functional aspect, he was increasing it. And he was telling us, oh, we are going to burn as much money as we want, and you are going to be responsible, and you have to pay the bill at the end of the day. No, I am sorry. So basically, as there is a sort of anger within the population right now, all the parties, they are measuring what is going on. You know, if you go anywhere, in any market, in every supermarket, every shop, you will hear people that are complaining, and you see this level of angriness that is growing and growing. And actually, this angriness is going to take its expression tomorrow, because on the 10th of September, everybody is going to go in the street, in fact, to block the country. There is a level of frustration in regard of the fact that any services that the state is support, in fact, to provide, we are not getting anything. We are shrunk by the level of tax that we are paying, because we are at least paying 45 to 50% to even 55% of direct tax and indirect tax. This is just unbelievable. We are the country that is paying the biggest amount of tax, and on top of it, we don't get, in fact, the service of our debt. If you look at most of the hospital right now, there is no personnel to handle, in fact, the patients. My own brother is the chief of ICU in a hospital in the South region, and he is telling me 50% of the patients that are arriving within the ambulance, at the end of the day, they are dead inside the ambulance because nobody is able, in fact, to take care of them.
Jeez.
And why we are paying so much tax? Why we are, in fact, making sure that those guys, they are leveraging, in fact, the capacity of our tax to eat caviar by the spoon, when ourselves, we don't have, in fact, the privilege, in fact, to have the minimum on the social point of view. This is just unbelievable.
Just like in the UK, it's very similar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on top of it, what has been happening the last days is a relevance of the defiance that the French population is having against his government, against Macron himself.
Mm-hmm.
The army, the chief of our army, Mr. Thierry Laurent, has been resigning after Macron sent him the order to send the troop in Ukraine. The guy say, it's out of question. I will follow up on such an order. This is my resignation. Bye-bye and good luck. We have the chief of DGSC, which is Internal Secret Services, that has been resigning because Macron has been sending the order for not investigating regarding certain type of transactions that are absolutely gigantic coming out of the country, meaning that there are some very rich people right now that are exiting the country because they don't want to pay the tax. Yeah. So basically, the Élysée is backing up fiscal evasion. And you have, in fact,
so let me just say that for our audience. You have a situation where capital's leaving the country because people are getting away from the governmental structure, but you also have the military that won't fight in Ukraine. I mean, that's essentially what you're saying, right?
Exactly. So basically, we have the heads of the state on the security level, at the highest level, who are saying, we are done. Finish. Yeah. We don't want to work for you. We don't want to work with you. You are not representative of our country. You're just a traitor. Wow. This is very serious, you know. This is
very serious.
So if you look at what Macron has been doing since the beginning, we had about 4 parties, and he has been picking up people within those parties. We have the leftist, LFI, the socialist, the central with Modem, and the LR, Republican, and the 5th one is the RN, meaning the Rassemblement National.
And he's doing that to keep Le Pen's party out of the government, correct? He's making a coalition against the populists.
Exactly. So basically, he has been pushing the 2 extremists, okay, left and right, and he's picking minister within, in fact, those 4 parties that are remaining. But he arrived at a point that he cannot constitute a government. Look at the situation. In 7 years, we had 7 ministers of education. We are going to pick up a 6th prime minister. We had 4 or 5 minister of the army, and so on. So basically, in fact, this guy is taking a person, he's preparing him as a minister. As soon as he has been cleaning the shit, he take the guys and throw it in the trash. But now, who is going to be picked up? Nobody. Because on top of it, you know pertinently that if you go to the government that is going to be constituted, your career is gone.
So what you're saying there, just so again our audience understands, you're saying that Macron has been using these people to wash the money laundering, and people know that now, so they don't want to be in the government. Is that what you're saying?
Not only this, any kind of issues. He was taking a guy, wanted to apply a policy. He knew that the policy would be against, in fact, the interest of the will of the French population. So he was forcing the threat, forcing the policy. As soon as the law was voted with the 43.6 article of the Constitution, because the parliament was completely annihilated by this article of our Constitution, if you use it, you don't need, in fact, the vote. So every time that he was seeing the vote will not go in the direction he has been deciding, he was popping up, in fact, this article and saying, you parliament, zip it, this is the law. And after the minister has been burned, he was taking the guy and throwing him out of the government. So basically, we are in the point right now, there will be nobody that's going to want, in fact, to apply to a government. Because the reputation is going to be done. As soon as a guy is going to work with him, his career is gone. It's finished. So basically...
Thierry, can you stay for one more segment? Do you mind if I run a quick break?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll be right back. Stay with us, guys.
Go ahead.
Watching my friends gain more and more weight, and then eventually I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke, I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place Your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back. Cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
I'm David Cross, and you may know me from my election integrity work, but I also own U.S. Asset Management, an investment advisory practice. I've been an advisor for nearly 30 years, and one of the questions I get asked most frequently is, do I have enough money relative to other people my age? And while that's an interesting question, it's also the wrong question. The right question is do you have enough money to sustain your lifestyle for the rest of your life? This is a question you should know the answer to. This is what we do. Check us out at us-am.com and look for our big proud American Eagle logo.
We have foot, slogging over Africa. Foot, slogging over Africa. Boot, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11.
So Thierry, thanks for coming back for another segment. So where do we go from here in France? What do you think is going to happen?
That is going to be very, very interesting now. Let's look at what are the different options that are set up on the table. We heard that Macron has absolutely no will, in fact, to resign when he became the problem of this country. And if he want, in fact, to solve the situation on an economical and social point of view, the only thing that needs to be done is either he's resigning, which he don't want, or we kick him out of the country. But if you look at the aspect of the Constitution, if you want to impeach this guy, this is of a complexity you cannot even imagine. Even in United States, it's not so complex, in fact, to kick him out. So let's look at the situation, how it is. He can say, okay, I'm going to take somebody of the Rassemblement National. Most of the people think that the Rassemblement National are, in fact, the opposition. It's not true. It is absolutely not true. Because Marine Le Pen has a problem. She cannot apply to election because she has a story of lawsuits on the back that has been preempted by the justice by executing, in fact, the sentence immediately, when in fact she was not in front of the court yet. It was a sort of security that they have been putting together.
Right.
In a way that she will not exit the country. I don't see this woman exiting the country in regard of the political fight she has been putting together for 30 years. This is a total nonsense. So basically, this guy wanted one thing is to neutralize her. So basically, she has a chief of party. This guy is 29 years old. He's stupid. His name is Jordan Bardella. Okay, he's looking very good, like Macron is looking good. But he's totally controlled by the WEF. And if you look at the speech he has been putting together within the European Commission, you listen to this guy, you have the feeling that you have von der Leyen in front of you with a pant and a suit. This is just unbelievable. Yeah. So basically, this guy is totally controlled by Macron. And this is the reason why it's a nonsense, in fact, to elect a guy like this. On top of it, every other party, because of reputation, what they will do is to jump on him and to say, we're going to censorship the government as soon as this guy is going to be elected. So basically, this is a dead end. Then you have Mélenchon. It's out of question. Macron don't want to hear about him. So basically, this option is completely on the side. And on top of it, this guy is very dangerous. On the immigration point of view, this guy is totally aligned on the left, but for others' reasons, which at the end of the story will be exactly causing the same kind of problem that we have in regard of the number of aggressions that are perpetrated in this country every day. We are facing 150 attacks with knives every day in France. Every day. When I was young, I was going out. I've never had any problem of this kind, you know.
Mhm.
When you know that every day you have 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids that are getting killed by people coming from Middle East or Central Asia. Like
Well,
Afghanistan.
it's changing the population. Obviously, they've been told to kill as many Frenchmen as you can, just like in Germany, just like in that's part of it, right? I mean, you got to depopulate, just like in Ukraine. That's
Yeah.
what they're doing.
And you know, every year for the last 7 years, Macron has been accepting that 500,000 people coming from those countries were penetrating our territory.
Yeah.
500,000, which is 3.5 million of the population. And this is representing, let me think, about 5%.
Yeah.
5% of the population in about 6 years. This is just unbelievable. This is how he is controlling, in fact, the election, actually, you know, because of dilution. So basically, he can pick up also socialist, a guy like Glucksmann, who is a CIA agent. He was totally under the control and the payroll of the CIA to destabilize Ukraine and to destabilize Georgia. Actually, he was the advisor of Saakashvili. He has been destabilizing Georgia. At the end of the story, it has been ending into a conflict during which Georgia was completely crushed. And he has been pushing Saakashvili in Ukraine to become the governor of the region of Odessa, to thank him of bringing the sniper that has been killing the people on the Maidan spot in 2014. So you see the kind of individual we are dealing with. As soon as this guy is going to pop up his nose, and in regard of the type of policy he wants to adopt, in regard of the taxation of everybody, this is going to be a total opposition. He's going to be kicked out by a proposition of censorship. So whoever is going to take over the heads of the state as prime minister is going to be expelled in the next months. So basically, what we are facing here is a major institutional crisis. And the only way that we have, in fact, to make sure we are going to solve this problem is to address the problem completely at its base. And it means to take Macron and to kick him out of the Elysee. This is the only way. The only problem that we would be facing here is that we will have about 50 days to organize the election of a president. So basically, how to print all the paperwork, how to organize the election, how to organize, in fact, the TV shows, the confrontations of program and this and that in 50 days, this is crazy. So basically, I don't know what is going to happen. And actually, tomorrow, we will have a good taste of the way that the population has been handling the problem and what are going to be the outcome out of it. When you have a full population, it's a popular movement without any political etiquette that decide we are going to block the country, you can understand that the vase is completely full.
Well, let me ask you this. We saw the Yellow Jackets years ago, and that what happened to that movement? Did it just get suppressed or what?
Remember what has been happening. There was a ferocious repression of this movement. But during 2 years, every week, people were going in the street to protest against this guy because most of the people did not have the capacity on a monetary point of view, in fact, to face the reality of inflation. And this guy wanted, in fact, to increase the price of gasoline. So basically, this has been exploding. What has been saving him? COVID. 1 week before, in fact, the pandemic declaration, we still had, in fact, the Yellow Jacket in the street. And this guy was not knowing how to get rid of this movement that was not stopping. And actually, if the COVID was not on the table, this guy would be gone today. He would be gone.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, the level of protest was increasing and increasing and increasing at the point it was becoming extremely dangerous.
So does
So
that fire in the population still exist, or is it gone?
it's there. It is there, and for one reason, it might be ignited again.
Mm-hmm.
That Yellow Jacket population was constituted of retired people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what Bayrou has been doing for the last 2 weeks, he was opposing the young people with, in fact, the retired, saying, you retired, you have a lot of money. This is because of you that we have so much debt. So guys, they have been subscribing and paying every month during 30 years to get their retirement. And suddenly this guy is just pointing the finger at them saying, this is because of you. No, it was not because of them, because they have been paying whatsoever necessary, in fact, to get retired. This is because the state is just pushing the limit of the usage of our assets for their own mean.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what has been happening during the COVID crisis. The Swedish guys, they have been leaving the country open, and their economy has been without any problem. And there was not as much death as we have been getting, actually, because they have been allowing the treatment. He has been forbidding the treatment. Where, in which country, you can see doctors that do not have the right, in fact, to cure their patients. Wow. Nowhere in the world. And actually, what is very surprising is that right now, the rate of mortality in France has been increasing by 12% after COVID.
Well, that's part of the depopulation agenda. You have to find ways to kill people, and that's a very good one. Let me ask you. Go ahead.
This is because of vaccination.
Yeah.
So basically, today, to come back to your question, saying what has been becoming with the Yellow Jacket, so guys, they might be on the table tomorrow in the street because they have been stigmatized by Bayrou, who was telling them, this is because of you. No, it's because of you, Mr. Bayrou, and all you guys, because during this COVID crisis, you have been increasing the debt of the country by $600 billion in 2 years. And 1 trillion in 3 years. We've never seen this before. Never.
Yeah. Let's switch gears before we run out of time here. You said that the military won't fight in Ukraine, but all of these European leaders say we're going to send troops, security force, but nothing ever happens. So what do you think is going to happen there?
This is a joke. This is a joke. Look at what has been happening. The envoyé of Washington, of Donald Trump administration, has been attending to the meeting of the coalition of volunteers. And after 20 minutes, what he has been doing is stand up and say, I have nothing to do here. Good luck. And you think the European, without, in fact, the framework, the security framework of satellite, of Central Command and so on, that United States can provide for NATO, they will go by themselves? I don't think so. This is the first point. The second point, population are sick and tired of Merz, of Stammer, and Macron. We don't want to hear about war because we don't have, in fact, the well-being, the resources of our well-being, and we need, in fact, to put the money to destroy another country that has nothing to do with our interests. This is stupid. And look at what our chief in command has been doing. He said, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not going to send my troop. Deal with yourself. It's your problem.
Yeah.
So basically, all over the place in Europe, this is exactly the same thing. They don't have the capacity to produce. They don't have the resources to produce because there is no more money. Their economy is completely crushed. And those guys, they still continue, in fact, to play the drums of war when, in fact, they don't have the capacity to do it. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And this entire story of Ukraine is going to collapse totally. And Trump wants to clean his hands out of it. He's completely right.
Yeah.
Completely right.
What about the EU itself? I sense that we're in a time race between these people want to collapse the European society, replace the population, kill off the original society. So they want that. Meanwhile, Europe is getting more populist. They want the wars to try to hurt the European population. What happens to the EU? It seems like a clash coming between these two sides.
If you look at the level of awareness that the European population has been putting together to understand what was at stake, you can understand that they are completely in opposition to their government. Even some leaders, they have been understanding that. Orban, Fizzo, Meloni, she has been understanding this is not its war. And she understands exactly what would be the consequences out of it, because she understands who they are facing. You know, a lot of people in Europe haven't been understanding the story of Oreshnik. Oreshnik has been sending a very specific signal. This missile is impossible to intercept. You cannot predict its trajectory, and he has the capacity to distribute 36 nuclear charge in less than 9 minutes in Europe. What does it mean? It means that if they are blowing this kind of device at a certain altitude, there will be no electricity during 1 week in Europe. That means every system of defense is gone. And you want to fight Russia? Are you crazy? People start to understand what is going on here. They understand that those guys, they are playing the drum of war because they want to hide where is the real problem. The real problem is leadership and also the debt. They have been understanding that those guys, they have been pushing the mechanism of quantity easing too far. And now all those countries, they are completely ruined, and they want us, in fact, to pay for the bill. And we are saying right now to those people, we are not going to pay the bill. We are going to make you paying for your own policy. And this is what is going to happen tomorrow. All those guys are going to be in the street to say, enough. We are blocking the country. Now you understand we are very serious people. And this kind of mechanism can spread all over the place. Look at what's happening in Croatia. The population every week on the weekend is in Zagreb and telling the government, don't cross the red limit. Don't even think about to go to Ukraine, because you are going to face our hungriness.
Amazing, Thierry. Thank you for all your information. That's why I wanted to get you on and held you a little long there. So thank you for your time, and I'm sure I'll have you back soon, because France is not going away. So anything else you want to? How can people follow you?
Well, you can go on my YouTube channel or Telegram channel, which is called Global Geopol. And I am running more and more interviews right now that I'm posting almost every day. I'm extremely solicited all over the places. It's just crazy, you know. It seems that this is becoming like a full-time job.
I agree. I understand completely. Thank you, Thierry. We'll have you back. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
The bird flu is circulating. We're getting more and more press, more fear mongering, more warnings about this. First, let's start with that. What say you on?
Well, what I say is it specifically is not circulating. It's in animals. There's one human, maybe two transmissions, no human-to-human transmission. And stand by, everybody. If there is some sort of sudden human-to-human transmission, you should immediately be suspicious that gain of function was involved with that. Just the fact that they're taking an animal virus and going nuts on it in the press and talking about it all the time, that to me leads me to believe that they have concerns that somebody is doing something with that virus, because this would not happen naturally, in my opinion.
Our world is changing rapidly. Many crucial systems we depend upon are collapsing. And the most important system that is failing is the food supply.
Mr. President, this Council is more than aware of the multiple challenges and threats the world is facing today. But the threat of famine, people starving slowly to death, must be a red line.
these food prices are going to keep going up and up, and they're going to keep feeding excuse after excuse, narrative after narrative.
Yeah,
so you're going to have to get off that treadmill and start getting more autonomous with your own food growing.
You want to make sure that you can eat, because frankly, food is the biggest issue as we are going through these transitions.
But amidst the chaos, there is a path to resilience. Marjorie Wildcraft is the female leader of the survival and preparedness movement. Marjorie has taught millions of people how to grow an abundance of food in a grid-down situation, even if you have no experience, are older, or out of shape.
I've spent decades finding the fastest, easiest, and funnest ways for the average person to be able to grow a lot of food. I've created a step-by-step process that's so simple that even kids to elders have been using it in order to grow a lot of their own food. And you can too, even if you have no experience, you're older, or you're out of shape.
Growing your own food is like printing your own money. Get started today.
Welcome back to the SCIF. We're on podcast, by the way, any podcast provider. You can find us and listen to us in the car, on the way to work, on the way to school, whatever. You can double time it and get through it quicker. I do that a lot because I try to listen to a lot of different information so we know what's happening. We're also on Gettr, X, Rumble, of course. And we usually put the show up on YouTube after the show runs, unless there was some vaccine stuff like Dr. McCullough yesterday, which we don't put up because they'll kick us off, and we're trying to rebuild there. Also, please support us by rebuilding our social media channels. X is primary, YouTube, CDM1 on Rumble. Even if you don't watch on one of those channels, just hit the subscribe so we can build the numbers, because that counts in a lot of ways. Really appreciate that. And sign up for our no-ad subscriptions. We get a lot of good feedback on this. We're putting out a lot of content. I mean, we are just cranking like a machine, putting out relevant content that you need to know all over our network, 13 different channels. You can get all of that with no ads popping up on your phone if you sign up for our no ad subscription. It's $10 a month or $100 a year. So just pay the $100, get it out of the way, and you don't have any ads for the year on a wonderful plethora of news that, over half of it you're not going to get anywhere else. Like, we just broke this story. It's probably out now around the Conservative Inc. But the story in Israel with the targeting of Doha, Qatar, to target the Hamas leadership. And by the way, there's a lot of conflicting reports on who was killed there. Initially, I think they were saying we got them all, but now it is not saying that. So we're going to dig into that after the show and refresh the article that's up on CDM right now. But that's the kind of thing you're getting from us that you're simply not going to get from Conservative Inc. So if you're looking for a good global news wire channel that has reporters all over the world, that's American, but that's going to tell you the truth and not follow the blob narrative, we are it. And I don't know of any other entity that it is like that. So please support us with our no-ad subscriptions. It's really important. And we talked about food. This is big. We still want to push resilience. Trump's in office, but there's a lot of stuff coming our way. So check out CDM Food with Marjorie Wildcraft. She's fantastic. She's got a lot of free content, but if you want to get in there and learn and grow food on a steady basis, join the Grow Network. It's not that expensive. And she will put you in contact with a lot of other people and a lot of other resources that you can use to grow your own food and become more self-reliant, which is key for us. Let's dig into a few stories. This one is the story on CDM, the breaking story on Israel targeting the Hamas leadership in Doha with the Israeli Air Force. I mean, this is an attack on a foreign country. So this war could break out, or maybe Qatar agreed to it and Trump worked it out. Who knows? But, there's a lot of stuff under the table that's happening here. But this is significant, and we're going to stay on this and bring you the latest of what's going on as it comes out, which I'm sure it will over the day. This one is huge as well. Ukraine is running low on air defense munitions. This is rounds for like the Patriot and other air defense assets. They're very expensive. Take long to make. We use 25% of our air defense rounds in the 12-day war on the Israeli-Iran conflict. And that's one reason why it was only 12 days and not 13 and longer, because Israel was getting pummeled by the Iranians with a lot of their ballistic missiles, which are very hard to defend against. And they were using MERV technology, which is multiple independent reentry vehicles. So this is important that Ukraine is not getting what it needs here. And I sense a trip to Washington by Zelensky, hat in hand, to pressure our wonderful president to give him more of what America needs for itself. So we'll see if Trump is really America first to Ukraine first, I think, really quickly. I think I know the answer, but we will see. This one is interesting on the Connecticut Sentinel, which is getting wonderful praise, by the way, throughout Connecticut. We're getting businesses, I'm talking major airlines, calling us to get interviews and get information on the Sentinel. So if you're in the Connecticut area, this is the paper of record of Connecticut. I think we're going to put that on the masthead. I just want to write that down because we're going to put that on the masthead for CTC, and we will be the paper of record in Connecticut. But Trump posted a video on Truth Social linking autism and vaccines, and the video says they're all poison, quotes. So wow, is Trump really going to come out and end this horror for our children and humanity? We will see. A lot to learn about there, but it's to come. Interesting stuff, guys. Now let's go to Georgia. We're all over this story, and there'll be more coming out. ICE in Georgia, raided the Hyundai plant and arrested over 400 people. This is causing massive consternation in South Korea. And again, we're ahead of this story, and there'll be more to come out. We've got a couple articles on the Georgia Record and CDM right now, several yesterday, but there'll be more coming today because we're all over this story. So expect to see more of that later in the day. And this is hour to hour here at CDM, guys, minute to minute. We're constantly changing priorities, constantly moving stuff up the ladder to get done. And that's why we need your support. So if you don't want to use the subscription, just make a donation. Go to any CDM site, top menu, support us, and you'll find the donate button. We really need help. We're going back to Beirut. We're going to Nigeria. We're going to Israel, most likely. And the team, and this is not just me, it's a team of people. And we need resources to do this, to bring this reporting to you. So please support us with a donation if you could, or with our no ad subscriptions, or buy something from our sponsors. Top menu on cdm.press, all the retail outlets that retail sectors that we're focusing on: books, food, medicine, gold, etc., precious metals. You can see all of that there on the top menu at CDM. So we're going to take another break. We'll be right back, and we're going to get into some pattern recognition with our good friend Bill Quinn. Stand by.
Well, in the case of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, these are two medications that have been FDA approved for use in humans for decades. They are very, very inexpensive. Interestingly, available over the counter in almost every other country other than the US and Canada. You can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them like we buy Tylenol in much of the world because they're that safe. And we've known for decades that ivermectin has very strong antiviral properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are what we call zinc ionophores. They help to move zinc from the bloodstream into the cell, which is where it needs to be in order to fight off a virus. So lots of application for these, and we have every reason to believe that those drugs also will likely have some efficacy against H5N1 or a number of other respiratory viruses that we may meet down the road.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Igor Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and ERA. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you. Welcome back to the SCIF. We're going to do some pattern recognition with Bill Quinn here in a second, but I just want to point out 2 gift ideas. If you're looking for that stocking stuffer for someone who may have everything, again, check out the AFP Armed Forces Press merch. Go to armedforces.press, top left corner. You see the sweatshirt there. You can click on the store and other gifts there as well, gym gear, etc. But look through there. Great stocking stuffer idea. And then let me let me just suggest, if you're looking for a Christmas gift or other gifts for the holidays, check out my book Currency. If you love reading all night long, because it's a great story. This is the kind of the comments I get, that feeling of not wanting to stop reading. It should be a movie. I stayed up all night to read it. I get this all the time. This is the first in the series of the Connor Murray series. The rest will be republished later. And then also, if you're a geopolitical guy, check out Paying the Price, The Untold Story of the Iranian Resistance. Either one of those would be great Christmas gifts. So just trying to provide some gift ideas as we go into the holidays. And with that, I want to bring in the Georgia show with Bill Quinn. We had a great show on Sunday, and I'm going to play some of this here in the second hour about really what's going on in the world. And Bill's really good at this, so here we go.
Confusion. It's difficult to tell, one, what's real and what's not, and it's difficult to tell what the next move might be. And so we're going to take you through what we believe are hard facts in much of this, and then we're going to poke some holes and ask some hard questions that may be on the periphery of what many folks have been thinking. So first up, we had another ICE raid at another Hyundai plant here in Georgia, down near Savannah, about, I think, 25 miles west of Savannah. And you will see these folks literally running through one of the plants. Now, recall that back in 22, even Joe Biden was touting the fact that Hyundai was putting a plant and investing in Georgia. And keep in mind as well that how many occasions have you heard Brian Kemp, Burt Jones, John Burns, and others say, oh boy, Georgia is the best place to go to do business in the country? Well, maybe it is, and maybe it's just the easiest because you've got this built-in population of folks that'll work at about 1/3 the labor rate.
Is that the kind without legal documentation, Bill?
It would in fact be. Now keep in mind, here we're going to show you this first. Let me play this, and then we're going to come back to this.
Warrant for this entire construction site, okay? We're Homeland Security. We have a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site.
So even though that might look like people racing for a blue light special at Home Depot, that's not what it was. Those were people running from ICE in some cases. In other cases, they were ICE agents chasing them down, I believe. So you heard the agent also say, we need everything shut down. Ultimately, what occurred was one of the largest manufacturing facility ICE raid yet implemented within the U.S. Some have said, oh, it's the biggest raid ever. I don't believe that's true. There's been other reporting this morning that suggests it's the biggest manufacturing facility ICE raid. Now, should we be surprised by this? I don't think so. And here's why. Many people will remember that back in April of this year, we saw something, and we'll play the CNN thing very soon. But you'll recall that back in April of this year, there was another ICE raid back in a Hyundai plant in Rome, Georgia, the other corner of the state. And there, one of the witnesses said that there were more than 100 people racing for the fence line. I believe that's a quote. And so immediately following that, we reported on it. And then we asked the question, well, are we, as we should be, then checking on other Hyundai plants? How is it that over 100 people, non-documented, could be working at a major manufacturing facility when everybody that works in the state of Georgia and in the United States has to prove citizenship in order to be hired, at least by companies following the law? So we asked that question, never heard an answer. Gosh. And now this week, we find that there's been another raid with 4 times as many people going to try to escape and apparently being taken into custody.
Yeah, they arrested like 400 and some people, right?
400, and the number varies a little bit, but it's something like 450 people.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, how could that happen? People have to go through documentation. They have to fill out paperwork in order to be hired. So does that mean Hyundai or somebody attached to Hyundai was allowing this? Does it mean that state officials who are supposed to check this stuff for taxation and other things are looking the other way?
That's kind of obvious, I think.
You know, how could this happen without a number of people being involved? Okay, that's a key question. Let's hear what CNN has to say about this. CNN, not my favorite broadcaster, but in this case, they do have some key points.
ICE raid at a Hyundai plant in Georgia. Officials say roughly 450 undocumented migrants were apprehended. Now, Thursday's raid was carried out by multiple state and federal law enforcement agencies, including ICE, the FBI, and the Georgia State Patrol. I want to bring in CNN's Isabel Rosales, who's been monitoring this. So, Isabel, what is the latest this morning?
Omar, good morning. With more than 450 people apprehended, this marks what appears to be one of the largest ICE raids at a single site in the 22-year history of this agency. Now, here's what we know. This happened at the Hyundai Meta plant site. This is in Ella Bell, Georgia. This is just 25 miles or so west of Savannah. And according to the Associated Press, this raid stopped construction of this factory that's being built to produce batteries for electric vehicles. This same site, this same project, this was touted by Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp, who called it the largest economic development site in the state's history. Now, we have video that we're showing in pieces here of masked and armed agents.
Okay, hear what she said in that report. This was touted by Kemp as the largest manufacturing investment in Georgia's history. You would think that people would be very careful with this in terms of ensuring its compliance. But what we do see is when we go back and look at the pictures taken surrounding the plant and its inception, look at who we find taking a victory lap. That's John Burns, Speaker of the House, bending over, signing a hood of one of these vehicles. You've got other state officials here on the right-hand side. You've got other pictures, including, Brian Kemp, John Burns, and of course, Marty, who is always by Kemp's side, it seems. And then here, oh, who's that? Well, that's Buddy Carter, by gosh. Buddy Carter of the 1st District, who's running for senator, is up here right in front, taking a bow next to Marty and next to Brian at this same plant. How could this happen? Now, you could ask yourself that question just with regard to this plant, but recall the actions and the discoveries over the past year that have been brought forward by people like Colton Moore. And then there's this from John Burns, and I've got to get a bigger picture of this so I can read it. But Burns takes the time to issue a communique, and you can read the top for yourself. I want to focus on the last paragraph. The House has proven our commitment to supporting legal immigration and opposing illegal immigration here in Georgia We will continue to uphold the rule of law at every turn. And most of this paragraph is about the rule of law. Great. So I'll pose these questions directly to John Burns. John Burns, how do you say something like that when your chief of staff, who is supposedly general counsel, who is not even a licensed attorney in the state of Georgia, acting in your office as an attorney would as general counsel, throws a sitting state senator to the ground, acting in the commitment to supporting the rule of law? Really? Really? What do you say when a sitting state senator reports that illegal immigration is being transacted through Hartsfield Airport, the largest airport in the country, and he has video to prove it, being implemented by Team Libertad, a well-known organization that has been assisting illegal immigrants into the country. And you and the House and even the Senate do nothing. Really? Living by the rule of law, are you? Most people don't see that. And even then, when Colton Moore speaks on the floor of the Senate here in Georgia to report what he found at Hartsfield, living by the rule of law, are we? And then, or just as a reminder, back in April of this year, we reported the previous raid on another Hyundai plant and asked for immediate follow-up to see what might be happening at other similar manufacturing plants. We didn't even limit it to Hyundai. Was anything done? No. And notably, within a month following Colton Moore reporting that this trafficking had been found in Hartsfield Airport, Laken Riley was killed in Athens by an illegal immigrant. Shouldn't have even been here. Living by the rule of law, eh? Doesn't seem so.
Let me know. I want to tie this to a more international level, Bill, when you're ready. So
go ahead. Go right ahead.
So what we're really good at here is tying what happens at the local level, like in the great state of Georgia, more toward the international, I guess, geopolitical chessboard. And if you remember, there was a recent election in South Korea where South Korea essentially went communist under the control of the Chinese Communist Party. The elections were rigged. The president was arrested for trying to stop the rigged election. And many have said we've lost South Korea to the Chinese Communist Party. Well, you tie that into what's going on in Georgia. So you see that maybe this is a sign from the Trump administration, literally not just calling out Georgia leadership and the Hyundai Corporation in South Korea, but more the Chinese Communist Party. When also we had the Georgia legislature approve liability protection for Kim China, of all people. So if you tie this all together, I mean, it really is a dark cloud you see.
And recall that Kemp has been seen in videos promoting Chinese companies to relocate or at least locate a plant here in Georgia. Keep in mind, we're talking about Chinese companies that are often almost wholly controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. Epicenter, huh? Maybe. Okay. Let's move on to something that happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's actually two sides to this. We're going to show them both, and we're going to, again, ask some interesting and difficult questions. Let me bring this up. So just in the last couple of days, Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and sent a letter to the FBI and DOJ urging formal investigation into Georgia's elections. Well, only took her 4 years, so well done. But she's now citing that there's something wrong in Fulton County regarding the handling of the 2020 election, including unreconciled data, improper procedures, and failures in the system. You'll recall that the state election board found hundreds of violations, and when they attempted to get certain data from the Secretary of State's office, the general counsel of the Secretary of State's office declined, citing that they needed to be assured that the case was settled and resolved prior to giving that additional evidence over to the state election board. I think we need to review the evidentiary requirements in Georgia for the general counsel. In any case, she brought this out. That seemed to be a good step, and it seems to be cited right around what's going on in Fulton County, which would include, going backwards to the 2020 election, would include the famous Moncla and Rossi complaint that has been sitting with the state election board for up to now 4.5 years. Here's the letter that she sent asking for action on this. So as we do, we will, when we see good action, righteous action, we will give credit for it. So for this, we say kudos to Marjorie Taylor Greene for doing this step. Will they take action? We certainly hope so. And given the raid that happened this week, many people in Georgia over the last number of months have said, does the Trump administration know what's going on in Georgia? We have so many issues. And my own personal belief is, yes, they do. And the reason is this, in part, this latest ICE raid, but also the potential now for a look-see into Georgia's election procedures, especially regarding the 2020 election. We've seen Tulsi Gabbard and others come out and state that they are seeing evidence that suggests there's problems. And now we see a focus starting to hone in on Georgia. I think that's welcome. I think it's needed. And we trust that the administration is going to pursue this in a direct way.
Great point.
So that's the good news. Okay. So also this week in Washington, D.C., we saw a press conference, if you will, regarding Epstein victims coming out saying, oh, stop. We're not even going to wait for the government to bring out the client list. We're going to do it ourselves. We're going to tell you who was involved in this. On the surface, that seemed to be a good thing. Except when you begin to, there we go. When you begin to look at who's involved in this. Now look at the signs in the background. The signs indicate that this question about who was involved in the Epstein mess potentially includes Trump. And elsewhere, and I don't have it prepared today, but I will show it eventually, there's a video that's been taken interviewing a number of the victims, and they were asked, was Trump ever involved in anything appropriate that you saw with regard to anything revolving around Epstein? And they all answered no, just a capital N-O. But here we have protesters that are out saying they're going to start talking about the Epstein client list. And who do we see? We see Thomas Massie, and we see Marjorie Taylor Greene right off his shoulder. What in the heck are they doing there in this particular setting? So as you look through this, it begins to get even a little bit more convoluted. Many people have forgotten that Massie at one point was not a Trump supporter. So here's a couple articles wherein back following J6, Massie came out and essentially said Trump was at fault for deadly riot at the Capitol and was part of a joint statement wherein they spoke of this. So is he a good guy or a bad guy? Well, at one point, he was not a Trump supporter. Here's another one of these pictures. Stop protecting rich pedos in yourself, Trump. So these are the kind of people that were at this thing. Now, notably, one of the actions that got taken was James O'Keefe stepped into the crowd and interviewed a few people and triggered a reaction that I think was unanticipated. Let's take a look at what happened.
On these files, wouldn't the Biden administration have released them?
No.
Why not?
They were there were reasons that they were being held back, that they didn't have.
Now, before we go on with this, I'm going to continue playing it. Look at the guy that appears on the right-hand side of the screen.
Access to get them released.
Well, what do you think those reasons were, just out of curiosity?
Yeah. We're done here. Like, we're done.
Got it. Okay, no whataboutisms.
It was sealed for a number of times.
That's lame, man. Who do you work for?
No comment. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I noticed that you were you were making a gesture to cut off the interview when I was talking to the protesters. You were coaching them.
You're a piece of shit.
Why am I?
Anything to do with anything.
Carlos, don't do it.
Now, they continue to berate O'Keefe as he walks along with them. What's more important is who these people are. We saw the signs that were up. You saw this gentleman in the blue blazer give a hand gesture to the woman, basically telling her to quit talking. And she did. She quit speaking to O'Keefe. And then a few hours later, more information was brought out and here's a picture of him basically doing the cut it off gesture. A few hours later, we found out who this gentleman is. He is associated with this organization, FLAIR. And if we zoom in on what FLAIR is about, here's what they say their agenda is: to dismantle the 47th president's fascist regime and working toward and beyond the impeachment, conviction, and removal of Donald Trump. That's what this agenda was, at least in part, about. That's the reason that you saw those signs that, in addition to refocusing back on Epstein, they were trying to focus on Trump. And this is the event that both Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene were supporting. Did they know what they were supporting? Well, it would be unusual if they did not. The other evidence that suggests that there's a lot more to this was who spoke at this rally. Gloria Allred, a notorious and relatively famous attorney who has been adamantly non-Trump and very liberally oriented. Her daughter is Lisa Bloom in the picture on the right-hand side. And Lisa Bloom has been documented offering people money in order to secure testimony against Trump. So something that looked one way actually appears now to have been something dramatically different. So again, the question is, why are Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene associated with this particular event? Good question. And we're going to keep our eyeballs on it to figure out why. Todd, why don't we take a break for a moment, and we'll come back right after that with the next piece.
Yeah, we'll run a few ads here, and then we'll talk.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free, or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Okay, we're back. We'll run a few other ads in a bit.
Okay. So we said earlier in the show that there were two major points that were both Georgia and national. And maybe, again, we're poking holes in Georgia being the epicenter. So this next one is very fascinating. During testimony in front of Senate hearing, RFK brought out that the CDC is not doing what we think it has been doing, and in very, very troubling ways. So let's go straight to some testimony that we heard from the hearing headed by Ron Johnson.
I'll just tell you one example, and I could sit here and give you thousands. But in 2002, CDC did an internal study of Atlanta and Fulton County, Georgia children, and looked at children who got the MMR vaccine on time and compared those to kids who got them later. So in other words, kids who got them before 36 months and kids who got them afterward. The data from that study showed that Black boys who got the vaccine on time had a 260% greater chance of getting an autism diagnosis than children who waited. The chief scientist on that, Dr. William Thompson, the senior vaccine safety scientist at CDC, was ordered to come into a room with 4 other co-authors by his boss, Frank DiStefano, who's the head of the immunization safety press, and ordered to destroy that data. And then they published it without that fact.
Published it without that fact.
Yeah.
Now think about what that means. That data would have potentially allowed parents to better safeguard their children. And unfortunately, lacking that data, some of the kids were 260% more likely to contract autism. Now think about what that means for those parents that have, unfortunately, an autistic child today that would have been potentially less apt to acquire autism in those days. Think about what that means to those parents.
It's horrific. Horrific.
It's absolutely horrific. Now, what was more evident in the hearing, I mean, most people were stunned by what he reported, but what was evident in the hearing immediately following was not the sympathy for what had happened, but the attacks on RFK attempting to discredit his findings and his testimony. And they came from some of the biggest names that we know in the Senate: Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and many others. And we're going to show you what happened and then postulate what might be behind this.
Kerry, Jay Bhattacharya, Dr. Oz, Vinay Prasad.
So you got a few doctors who agree with you, and I'm giving you the
Not a
names.
few doctors. What you're talking about is there's a big difference, Senator, between established science and the scientific establishment, which has been co-opted by the pharmaceutical
Oh, hold on. So
industry.
you're telling the American people that the American Medical Association, representing hundreds of thousands of people, have been co-opted and that they should not trust their doctors.
And I'm
the
telling
American
you,
Academy of Pediatrics, and by the way, just for the record, every single Republican, I don't mean to be political here, Mr. Chairman, has received PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. Are they all corrupt as well?
And I'm telling you, the American Heart Association has been co-opted by the food
Everybody but you, Senator. But you know what? When you ran for president, we have a corrupt campaign finance system. Maybe you'll agree with me on that. Okay, you were already president, you got a billionaire behind it. You received $300,000 from people, not from the industry, people in it, as I did, from individuals. You corrupt. President Trump got $3 million. Every Republican got corporate PAC money for the pharmaceutical industry. Democrats as well. Everybody is corrupt, but you? Is that what we're looking at? I don't think so. And I think the issue now—
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I think you do know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The issue is every time anyone disagrees with you—
Are you saying the pharmaceutical industry was supporting my presidential campaign?
I'm saying,
I don't think so.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the pharmaceutical industry is a greedy institution which is charging us the highest prices in the world. They are pervasive. But to suggest that every institution, the AMA, the pediatrics people, is corrupt because they disagree with you is an insult to the American people.
Listen, people disagree with me all the time. I have arguments in my agency, heated arguments every day with Jay Bhattacharya, with Marty McCary, with Dr. Oz.
You have given the names of a few people. I have given you the names of organizations representing hundreds of thousands of doctors and scientists.
So that went on, and then he got in a debate with Elizabeth Warren as well. And perhaps this next screen will explain a bit more. Now, this is small, and I'm going to give you a blow up in just a moment. This is from opensecrets.org, and this shows the pharmaceutical industry related money that has gone to all these senators that are in this committee. And who's at the top? Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Now, if we go to the next page, you can see that with even more clarity. And Bernie Sanders claimed, he didn't get any money from pharma. This goes back to some time ago. Didn't get any money from pharma, didn't get any money from Wall Street, didn't get any money from companies, CEOs. And yet, look at the money that he did receive. And notably, we didn't notice this until just before airtime. Look at who was also on this screen to the right, David Perdue, from right here in Georgia. So if you're getting millions of dollars and you hear somebody getting ready to drop the bomb on what's been going on in the pharmaceutical industry, what are you going to do? You're likely going to fight back. And that appears to be what was happening here. We're going to play one more video, and then I'm going to have you go to your interview with McCullough, if you can, please. Todd.
Yeah.
Buying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product.
Well, I went to the wrong one. Bear with me. There we go.
COVID vaccines were rushed out. They're genetic. They code for the disease promoting part of the virus. And sadly, those who've taken the vaccine now are emerging with chronic diseases. There was not enough attention paid to safety and limiting exposure to these vaccines. And Senator Ron Johnson gets a lot of credit for getting all of this out in the open.
So what is your take? He's saying the study, the vaccinated are more prone to chronic illnesses than the unvaccinated. What's that about?
That's because the vaccines are the genetic code for the spike protein. Both the vaccines and spike protein now have been found in the body years after the shots. And it's very abnormal to have synthetic messenger RNA and a spike protein that was generated from a Chinese biosecurity lab circulating in the bloodstream in the tissues of Americans. Is causing disease. Johnson is getting to the bottom of it.
All right. So back to you, Todd.
Hope you enjoyed that. We're going to end that right there. And we'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday, Eastern. A lot of guests coming on tomorrow. Pete Blaber was going to be on today, but he had to do something else. So we'll have Pete on, and we'll be doing the Ukraine sit rep, likely tomorrow or Thursday. So a lot of work put into this show. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.